Hello everybody, and welcome once again to Caleb Likes Books. I am Caleb, and today I am going to be reviewing the very first published novel by Brandon Sanderson, and his first Cosmere novel, Elantris. And just so you're aware, I did just finish this book, but I am intending to release this video about a month out because since I just finished it, I want to get my video done and recorded because my thoughts are still quite fresh. I just finished it yesterday, but I intend to do some horror videos during October, so this video will be going up at the beginning of November. But going into this book, I was expecting to enjoy it because so far I have also read the first Mistborn trilogy as well as Warbreaker, all of which I thought were fantastic, like 9.5, 10 out of 10 sort of books, all four of them. So I very much expected to enjoy this, but I have heard from the Brandon Sanderson fans that this is one of, if not his weakest book. There are a couple of people who have it a bit in higher regard, but generally speaking, this tends to be people's least favorite, or one of the least favorite books that he has written. So I was expecting to maybe not like it as much as the other books, but I still figured I would enjoy it, and I have to say that was probably pretty accurate. I still absolutely love this book. I thought it was nearly on the same level as the other four that I've read, but I do think it is probably, out of the five that I've read, probably the weakest one. First, I'll talk about some positives with this book. First thing that I kind of want to talk about is the plot versus the characters. And there's a reason for that. So in the past four Sanderson books that I have read, while I have very much enjoyed the plots, the thing that really drew me in was the characters. Whereas in this one, it was kind of the opposite. I enjoyed the characters, but the plot, particularly the plot within Elantris itself, was what really kept me kind of going. Again, not that I didn't enjoy the characters, I very much did, but the plot for me was the more interesting thing here, whereas in the past, it was the characters that I was most interested in. So that was kind of an interesting difference between this one versus the other books of his that I've read. There are three main point of view characters, those being Raoden, who I would probably consider kind of the main character of the book. And then there's also Hrathen and Serene. I would say Raoden was probably my favorite of the three, while Serene was probably my least favorite, but I enjoyed all three quite a lot. And Raoden's side of the story basically is at the very, very beginning of the book, he is taken by the Shead, I believe it's called, which is essentially something that happens to the people within this world, where they kind of become zombie-like in a way. They cannot really die, but their pain, like if they hurt themselves or are hurt by somebody else, the pain of that wound is basically stays around forever. It doesn't just kind of go away, it doesn't heal. And as a result of that, and probably some other things, the people who are taken by the Shead basically go insane, or just be kind of their mental state completely degrades. But Raoden is taken by the Shead and is thrown into Elantris, which is the title of the book, which is a city that was once beautiful and wonderful, and basically the people of Elantris were treated as gods. But sometime in the past, something happened, and the people of Elantris became these zombie-like characters, like Raoden becomes, and they are all put into Elantris. Anybody outside of Elantris who is taken by the Shead is put into Elantris, and it kind of falls into ruin and disrepair and is generally not a very fun place. And so his kind of side of the story is dealing with that, making connections with people within Elantris and trying to kind of restore it to its former glory a little bit, trying to restore hope to the people of Elantris and all this kind of thing. It was a really interesting plot. Hrathen is a religious character, kind of keeping in the tradition of Mistborn and Warbreaker. One of the main POV characters is a religious figure, and I believe he is a priest of some kind, and he has an apprentice whose name escapes me at the moment, but he is kind of a main religious figure, and he has some things going on there, trying to convert the people, the local people, to his particular religion. And then there's Serene, who was supposed to marry Raoden, but Raoden was said to be dead because I guess the people of nobility don't want people, the common people, to know that he was taken by the Shead. So they say he's dead, and so she's basically widowed before she even gets married. And she's kind of gets involved in the Elantris storyline with Raoden. So all three of these plot lines, all three of these characters do intersect in very interesting ways that I really enjoyed. And the plot I found really interesting, especially with Raoden and Elantris, which, of course, as I just said, Hrathen and Serene do kind of get involved in that, but Raoden is kind of the main contributor to that plot. Another thing I really liked in Elantris was actually the magic system. The magic system of Mistborn, Warbreaker, and Elantris. I consider Elantris to be probably my least favorite, but I really like the implementation of it. So for me, Mistborn is kind of the gold standard for the implementation of the magic system plus the magic system itself, because I think both were done fantastically. Warbreaker, I liked the magic system. I wasn't as interested in the implementation of it. Whereas Elantris, I wasn't as much of a fan of the magic system, but I really loved the implementation of it. So it's kind of the inverse of Warbreaker, because the magic system is kind of in the background in this book. It's kind of they're trying to figure out what it is and how to use it and why it kind of has gone away and things like that. The people of Elantris were able to use this magic system in the past, but after the whole thing where Elantris became kind of this really not fantastic place to be, the magic system kind of went away after that. And so they're kind of trying to figure out why that happened and how to kind of restore the magic of this world back to it, and all of that kind of thing. And I really like the implementation of that, and that kind of works into kind of later parts of the story, especially, but it's kind of present throughout, but it's more in the background, which I actually really liked. But as I said earlier, I did not like this one quite as much as the other Sanderson books I've read, though it's very close to them. But the reason for that, I think, is partially the plot. Now, I know I said earlier I really enjoyed the plot in this book, but around like the 2/3 to 3/4-ish mark of the book, the plot kind of became a little less interesting to me, particularly when it came to Hrathen and Serene, who I really enjoyed Raoden's side of the plot throughout, but for the other two characters it kind of lost me a little bit. I was still interested, but I wasn't as interested in it. But the last part of the book is still really fantastic, so I think it picks back up. But that's really the only big negative that I can think of with this book. Overall, I did really enjoy Elantris. If I were to give it a rating out of 10, I would probably give it somewhere around a 9, which is definitely very high. Warbreaker and Mistborn I would give somewhere in the 9.5 or 10 range, whereas this for me is a 9, which is still very, very high, even though it's not as high as the other books of his that I have read. I really, really enjoyed it, and really the only thing that brings it down for me is what I mentioned about certain parts of the plot kind of didn't quite land for me. But I did really enjoy the book. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the plots. I enjoyed the world building, which I didn't talk about a huge amount, but I really enjoyed the world building in this book, and the magic system, and some of the themes that were in here, some of the themes of like religion, and the stuff going on with Raoden, kind of trying to restore hope and that kind of sort of thing. Just overall, I really enjoyed this book. There was just that one or two other little things that kind of brought it down for me, but overall, I thought it was really fantastic. So that's pretty much all I've got for this review. Let me know in the comments if you have read Elantris or any of Brandon Sanderson's other books. Where would you say this, if you have read more of his Cosmere novels, where would this kind of place for you? Because I know that for most fans it's kind of towards the bottom, but I'm curious if there's anyone who thinks it's maybe a bit higher than that or anything like that. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on this are if you have read it. And that's pretty much all I got for you for this video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.